these pie charts don't necessarily reflect how you're gonna play out there. I think your experience out there should reflect how you play and what players you play with, how you create your players out there. Please follow me on Twitter at allcitylivetv. We send out notifications for every single video upload and live stream. We talk about badges, builds, and everything related to NBA 2K. So come join us. Hey, what's up YouTube? You already know it's All City Live TV, and thank you for tuning in. Today we're gonna be talking about these pie charts and how these pie charts may determine how you play out there. I got over 4,000 games played in the park. I got over 300 games played in rec, 82 win percentage in rec, 75 win percentage in park. I could say I'm a fairly decent player out there. I could say I have a ton of experience playing the game out there, and I've played for extended periods of time on multiple pie charts. And I want to tell you guys some of the things that I've learned about how these pie charts seem to affect how mobile you are, how agile you are out there. And some of the numbers, they don't necessarily reflect your gameplay out there. So like I started out with the defensive pie chart, right? So if you look at the numbers with a 95 perimeter defense, a 94 lateral quickness, with these numbers, they tell you that you should be an absolute demon out there on defense. You should be in all the passing lanes. You should play aggressive defense, or at least have the ability to do so, as you're gonna have a high number of defensive badges to accommodate your defensive attributes. But this wasn't the case. I started the year out with a glass lock. Made him 6'11", and I figured he would be, you know, although he may sacrifice some boards at 6'11", which is what I was thinking at the beginning of the year, he would still be able to be in the passing lanes, and that wasn't the case. The numbers and the badges didn't reflect my gameplay. In fact, he moved like he was 7'3" out there. He was extremely sluggish. He wasn't able to get in the passing lanes. It just wasn't a good experience with my glass lock. So that was one experience with the defensive pie chart. Then I moved on over to the defensive and playmaking pie chart, thinking that adding playmaking to a two-way or creating a two-way slashing playmaker would allow me to have a balanced type of build. And I liked the defensive attributes: 84 lateral quickness, 87 steal with an 85 perimeter defense. I was thinking again, I'm creating this defensive player. As you guys can see, there's some consistency here. I wanted to create defense-minded type of players, defense-oriented type of players, so that way I could be effective on defense. And what I figured would improve my defense was having a high lateral quickness and having a good amount of defensive badges to accommodate a good amount of defensive attributes. So that was two levels, two different players that I created primarily with defense in mind, and that's what was lacking the most, the absolute most on both players that I created was my defense. I would swerve all over the place with my two-way slashing playmaker for months on end, a constant battle with swerving. I couldn't understand it. What was going on with these pie charts that were affecting my player? It wasn't the badge setup, because we went through multiple different types of badge setups. And what triggered everything, what put everything together for me and helping me to understand these pie charts was watching some other players throughout my experience playing. Again, 4,000 games played. You got to see that you're going to run into some other players, and you as a defender and creating a player with defense in mind, you're thinking that players who have only one defensive badge, they normally created their player with low defensive attributes, so they shouldn't even play not even close to how you play with your player, as you created your player with defense in mind. I ran across too many players who played even better defense than I with only one defense badge. So when that happened and things, you start learning as you go and you create new players, I ended up creating a slashing playmaker. Now I had a two-way slashing playmaker, and I ended up creating a slashing playmaker. my slashing playmaker was the playmaking pie chart. Now, my defensive attributes are significantly lower than the two-way slashing defensive attributes. But why on my slashing playmaker, my defense is tremendously better? I mean, it's like light years apart. That's how much better my defense is on this pie chart. Why would that be the case when my defensive attributes on my two-way slashing playmaker are so much higher, which means this should allow me to play much more aggressive defense out there without worrying about swerving. So on my slashing playmaker, I put gold clamps on, and he just moves so fluid on defense. It's like so responsive. I can stay next to the ball handlers out there. They're not blowing past me with one little crossover and your player's not moving 2 steps over while your opponent is already going right. You're still going left trying to work your way right, and by that time he's crossing back over, and now you're just in this game where you're just trying to maintain the swerve, and it was really annoying. So when I made the slashing playmaker, that really brought everything together and helping me understand that these pie charts don't necessarily reflect how you're gonna play out there. I think your experience out there should reflect how you play and what players you play with, how you create your players out there. I think the playmaking pie chart is one of probably the most goated pie charts out there. I think the other, from my experience, the other pie chart that'll help you play tremendous defense out there is probably the finishing and defense pie chart. This is the only other maybe pie chart that I've seen out there where the defenders are really like agile, they're good on defense, they have great defensive I guess maybe awareness in how they move. Their players respond really well on defense. But aside from those 2 pie charts, I can't say where I saw like really dominant defenders out there that we had to worry about with passing lanes and things like that. So I gotta tell you, the reason why I made this video, because I thought it was important. It was one of the things that one of the huge learning lessons that I learned about 2K20, that these pie charts don't necessarily reflect how you're gonna play on defense. These numbers don't necessarily reflect how you're gonna play in general. You could have we was playing with one of our, shout out to Legacy, we was playing with Legacy yesterday, and he had a sharpshooting facilitator out there, 98 3-pointer, and he's missing wide open shots, and that's really discouraging for me as a point guard dotting our shooter, and for him as a shooter missing wide open shots. Again, not that there's a common occurrence, but more so that these pie charts don't necessarily reflect how you're going to play. So choose your pie charts wisely, because you take your experience with you while you're creating a player, because it's not cheap to create a player. It's not cheap financially, and it's not cheap with your time and investment in the game, because it takes a huge amount of time to build up these players. So watch. Maybe you guys come on our live stream and watch some of the better players so you can see what may work for you guys out there, as opposed to creating a player where you're looking at the numbers and you say these numbers should be it. You go and invest in that player, go spend all of your time building up that player, and then he never reaches like your expectation of what you wanted to achieve with the player, whether it be shooting, whether it be playing the defense, or whether it be a good amount of playmaking that allows you to ISO out there. There's some things that just don't align. This is why more so I wanted to create a balanced build, just in case, you know, I didn't want to be great at anything but good at everything. And it was just like, I was okay with just being good at everything. I didn't want to be a GOAT. I just wanted to be balanced, which is why I leaned toward the defense and playmaking pie chart. But unfortunately, it wasn't. It was a good experience, but it wasn't enough. I needed better shooting, and I leaned towards the playmaking pie chart to provide me with better shooting and better a better amount of shooting badges. And it seems like it's working out well, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't expect to play better defense when I created this player. I thought I was gonna lack on defense. I thought I was gonna be an extreme liability on defense, and the trade-off I made was to have better shooting and a high amount of speed. My slashing play, my two-way slashing playmaker and my slashing playmaker are very similar builds, 6'5", with the same amount of weight, the same speed and acceleration at 99. They're very similar, but for some reason, everything is way more responsive on the playmaking pie chart. So I hope this video like kind of help you guys understand these pie charts and how they reflect on your gameplay, and how some that mention or show that the numbers are extremely high for a particular attribute that may attract or intrigue you, they don't necessarily translate during your gameplay. And I think that's what it takes for you to invest more time in the game, watching other players and how they play. This is why it's good for you guys to get out there and play against other good players. This is how I learned about these player builds and how players move on defense, because I watched other good players. We played against other goated players so we can see what we may want to turn into in the future of 2K20. And this is what we did. We spent a huge amount of time. I learned some of the things playing against other players, and I created my slashing playmaker, and I'm really happy with my slashing playmaker's ability to play good defense, shoot the ball, and finish the rock out there. Again, I hope you guys found this video helpful and informative, and if you did, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we're gonna have a ton of NBA 2K20 content coming your way. I'll catch you guys on the next video.